Brother, understand that you are 180 days from the life that you truly want to live. I'm not going to waste your time. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Pro tip, watch this on double speed if you want to save time, and let's begin. So, understand that most people, right? Most people overestimate what they can do within a week, and they underestimate what's accomplishable in 6 months. Because we think, oh, okay, I got a week, I can get all this done, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, right? But when it comes to expanding the skill, expanding our vision, people find it very difficult to truly understand what exactly they are able to accomplish in the next 6 months. And no, you don't need a perfect plan, right? You don't need a perfect, step-by-step plan. Okay, on Monday I'm going to do exactly this step by step. On Tuesday I'm going to do that. 6 months from now I'm going to be here, right? No, you don't need a perfect plan. You just need focus and consistency. If you're able to focus on the things that truly matter and stay consistent in getting them done, there's nothing that you won't be able to do. And the problem is not knowledge. It's distraction and inconsistency, because we're surrounded by a lot of noise, a lot of things pulling our attention away from the things that actually move us forward, the things that bring us progress in life, which makes it very inconsistent. Some days you might be on, other days you might be off. That inconsistency halts your progress. It stunts your momentum, making it very difficult for you to accomplish anything. Then there's this gap between your goals and your actions that ultimately ends up killing your momentum, right? Your goals are, somewhere over here, but your actions are down here. They're not aligned. They're not connected. The things that you're doing do not make sense in terms of your goals, which means there needs to be some sort of reconnect if you want to achieve anything. But what if you locked in for the next 180 days? What if for the next 6 months you got consistent? What if for the next 6 months you actually stayed focused and actually did what you needed to do in order to achieve your goals? Well, let's break down what exactly that will look like. For starters, we need to understand that motivation is not the answer, because motivation fades. It's like emotion. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it isn't. If you only work when you're motivated, then how often are you actually working? How often are you actually getting things done? How often are you actually making progress? It's not that often, right? And the enemy isn't laziness either, right? It's overstimulation. Again, distraction, dopamine. All this noise, all this social media, the scrolling, the junk food, the Netflix, the YouTube, there myself, all these things all around us, distracting us from the things that truly matter. The things like focus work, exercise, reading, talking to people, growing, making progress, right? It's very difficult to do when our brains are constantly then relying on our mood, right? Some days you might feel like working, but some days you don't, right? That traps you in a cycle where sometimes you're getting work done, but most time you aren't, right? And if you're only getting the work done some of the time, well, you're not going to achieve your goals any of the time. And what changes you is not going to be hype. It's going to be structures and systems. Give an example. I'm sure you guys remember Among Us, right? Among Us was very hype. Oh my goodness, Among Us 2020. The virus was going on. Everybody was on the game. Well, where is Among Us now? Right? It's not talked about. It's not spoken about. Nobody's playing it because it was a game that was built off of hype. The hype was there, and then the hype died, and look at it now. It's not really doing anything. But let's say something like Call of Duty, for example. Something that people play every year without fail because they built a system and a structure around the game that keeps people coming back. If you had a system and structure around your life that kept you going back to the work that you need to do, then you would be where you wanted to be. And the truth of it all is that a boring routine that you do daily is going to be 100 inspired ideas that you never even began. Because again, consistency is key. If you're able to stay consistent, if you're able to stay focused, see that eye back there? That's focused, right? It's locked in, right? If you're able to stay focused, then there's nothing that you won't be able to accomplish. And there's actually this invisible loop that is actually stopping you from staying focused. There's a loop out there that you constantly find yourself trapped in that makes it very difficult for you to be focused. It starts with a trigger, right? You might be bored, you might be anxious, you might be just, not really doing anything, which causes you to scroll or hop on Netflix or go on YouTube, which will spike your dopamine. But again, this is artificial dopamine. It's not real. You're getting a reward for not doing anything. Thus, that dopamine is going to crash back down. And when it does, now you feel guilty. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I wasted all that time. Oh my goodness, I could have been doing this, that, and the third, but I was over here watching anime. And then you get guilty. You end up repeating the cycle again. Right, and this becomes a hardwired feedback loop because the longer it becomes in your brain, right? Every time you get bored, that neural pathway will fire. You'll carry out this series of actions right here, and then it'll just keep repeating itself. The stronger that pathway becomes, the weaker your focus gets, because again, your attention is always getting pulled to things that don't matter rather than focusing on the things that do. And also making it impossible for you to execute. And understand that breaking the loop is the foundation of discipline. Breaking that loop is the foundation of focus. And once you do, then you'll set yourself on the fast track to achieving your goals. Which leads me to the 180 shift, a framework that I created that is going to help you achieve your goals within the next 6 months. It's going to bring you back on track, because right now you're straying the path a little bit, but this video, this focus, right, this framework is going to bring you back on track. And for those of you interested, everything that I mentioned in this video, I'll go more in depth in my program, the Focus OS. If you're interested, click the first link in the description. Without further ado, let's begin. For starters, you're going to need 6 months of daily discipline. What exactly does that look like? Well, you need to wake up every single day at the same time, even if it sucks. Doesn't matter when you go to sleep. As long as you're waking up consistently day in and day out, starting your day the same, your days are going to be a lot more productive. Your days are going to be a lot more efficient. You're going to get a lot more done. You're going to be more focused, right? There's really no downside to it. Then hitting your daily non-negotiables, right? Movement, getting some form of exercise in, pull-ups, push-ups, maybe you go to the gym, maybe you get a run in, jumping jacks, jump ropes, boxing, walking, it doesn't matter. As long as you're moving your body, getting your body in motion, it's going to help your mind out as well. Then there's deep work, right? You can't achieve your goals, you can't accomplish anything if you're not doing any deep work, right? Without deep work, without actually focusing on something, like genuinely focused, like you, the task at hand, no distractions, nothing, well, you're not going to get anywhere. And then there's rest as well. There's this misconception in hustle culture where it's like, oh, you got to work 12-hour days, no rest. What the heck is sleep? I've never heard of it. Things of that nature. And understand that if you want to work like that, well, you're going to burn out. And when you burn out, it's going to be a very long time before you come back. So to avoid burnout, you need rest. And when I say rest, I don't mean scrolling or YouTube or anything trash like that. I mean taking a walk, reading something, talking to someone, just sitting and letting your mind think, right? Having some rest, letting things process, letting yourself recharge so that when you enter that next work block, you're more productive. And then chasing tiny wins, right? Stack the tiny wins. Stop chasing perfection, chase consistency. And understand that perfection is not even something that can be accomplished, right? You have to be consistent first. You have to do the action over and over and over again, learning a lesson every single time that improves the next action. That's how you approach the idea of perfection. It's not something that you get by thinking about it. It's not something you get by actively going after it. You just act, and when you learn from your actions improve, and eventually your actions approach this idea of perfection. And then tracking your behavior rather than your feelings, right? You need to track whether or not you're getting the action done. Okay, did I do it? Okay, did I get my focus work block in? Yes. Okay, cool. Next day. Did I do it? Yes. Okay, cool. Next day. Did I do it? Check. Next, right? If I didn't do it, okay, I should probably do it. Okay, check. Next, right? Basically tracking the behavior. If you did the action, if you carried out the behavior, then you can count that as a win in your book, right? Not, okay, did I feel like, I don't feel like it. I'm just, I'm not really feeling it. I'll do it later. I'm not really feeling it. Excuse me, I just sneezed. But ultimately, track the behavior, not your feelings. And then realize that discipline is the decision that you have to make every single day. Am I going to do what I need to do, or am I not, right? Regardless of your mood, regardless of how motivated you are, regardless of what's going on around you, did I get the action done, or did I not get the action done? If I didn't, then I'm going to go and do it right now, right? You need to stop saying that you can't, stop putting yourself down, and just get the work done. Because brick by brick, you are going to build the momentum that you need in order to achieve your goals. Moving on, right? Next, there's 6 months of dopamine control, because understand, without controlling your dopamine, without being in full control of this chemical within your brain, you just aren't going to win, because your phone isn't just a distraction, it's an addiction that you have. Every time you're bored, you're anxious, you're not doing anything, what do? You pick up your phone, you start scrolling Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. Right? All of these things, right? They're pulling away your focus. They're lowering your ability to focus, right? You might think, okay, I'm just gonna scroll. I'm not even at home. I can't even work right now. But this second, you can end up scrolling again because you can't focus after you drained all of your dopamine on these things, these mindless things. So you need to cut out the scroll, delete the apps, limit the access. You need to create friction. What essentially friction is whenever you feel that urge to scroll, you want your brain to think, that's too much effort, I don't feel like doing it. You want your brain to think it's too much effort to pick up your phone and start scrolling. Well, how do you do that? Okay, you grayscale it, right? Maybe take it out of your room when you're working. Delete, all of the apps. Put them in some locked folder, drag it to the back of your phone, put a bunch of walls behind it. It's like, oh my goodness, I gotta pick up my phone, I gotta just go over here, I gotta type in this password, I gotta turn off my grayscale, right? If after doing all that, if you scroll after that, I really know what to tell you. But by that point, you're just gonna be like, you're gonna catch yourself in the act. You're gonna gain consciousness for a second. You're gonna ask, what the heck am I doing? Right? You're just not gonna do it. You're gonna put the phone down and you're gonna get back to work. And then delay gratification as well, because the more you delay gratification, the more you're going to be able to focus. Because this instant gratification, getting the dopamine without the work, it's lowering your ability to focus. Because wait a second, your brain's like, I don't even have to focus. I can just open my phone and scroll for 2 seconds. I can get some dopamine, right? But when you delay it, well, then your focus is naturally going to increase over time. Ultimately, rewire your brain with replacement rituals. Instead of scrolling, instead of going on Netflix or YouTube, just journal, right? You can try audio journaling. That's something I've been doing recently. Audio journals, they're OP, right? Work sprints, get a quick work block in, do some exercise, right? Do something that pulls your brain away from the scrolling. Something I've been doing is, usually I would end up scrolling whenever I'm in the bathroom. Now I just read my Bible, right? I hit the little audio button, see, now instead of scrolling on TikTok, the Bible is scrolling for me, right? Now I'm getting some word in, right? It's very, very productive. Naturally, you don't rise to your goals. You'd rather default to your dopamine inputs, right? If your dopamine input is scroll, game, anime, Netflix, well, that's what you're going to end up doing. That's what you're going to default to. But if that default is work, exercise, walking, reading, right? Things that train your mind, things that rather bring you forward, then you're going to default to that. And when that is your default, then you're going to make progress by default as well. It's just your natural state of life. Deep work again, because once your dopamine level is dropped, your work is up here. Now you're like, oh my goodness, work is so fun. I can't wait to get some work done. I can't wait to make progress, right? And when the progress is fun, when the work is fun, well, you're just naturally going to do it. There's nothing going to be holding you back. There's going to be no friction stopping you from doing so. And then there's 6 months of intentional action as well, right? You need to stop planning and start executing, right? So, again, like thinking, it's like the same thing with perfection, right? I can think about, oh, this is the best way to do it. Is that the best way to do it? You don't really have anything to think about if you haven't taken any action yet, because you have no data. Everything is kind of just conceptual. It's like it's not real. It's not real. It's not real until you take the action, because then you actually, okay, I acted, okay, that's what happened. Now you can think about it for a second. You go, oh, okay, maybe if I do it this other way, it might be better. And when you do it, it's like, oh my goodness, it was better. Okay, what can I do now to make that even better, right? You can only grow by taking action. So stop planning and just start executing, right? Take one needle moving action per day. Needle moving is whatever your goal is, whether it's business related, fitness related, relationship related, right? Whatever that thing is, take one action towards doing that thing per day. Move the needle, right? Push that throttle a little bit, get a little bit closer to your goal. As long as you do that once every single day, then in the next 6 months, you won't even be able to imagine or comprehend what exactly you've accomplished. So, and then break your big goal down into 15-minute sprints, right? Now, for me, 15 minutes is where you would start, but then you want to push it up to 30, 45, an hour, right? So break your goal down into like the most frictionless, the most easy, the most effortless thing that you can do, and do that thing for 15 minutes. So let's say you're trying to go content. I guess I use that example because that's what I did, right? Let's say you're trying to, okay, I'm going to write a script for the next 15 minutes. I'm going to edit for the next 15 minutes. I'm going to record for the next 15 minutes, right? Basically, break it down to the most simple, easy thing that you can do, and do that thing for 15 minutes. Because understand, small actions compound faster than you think. It's like the snowball effect, right? You might have a tiny little ball of snow at the top of the hill. But you let that snowball roll, it's going to start picking up more snow and more snow and more snow and more snow. And as the ball gets bigger, it's going to be able to pick up more snow, which is going to build the momentum. And then you're just going to progress faster, right? And realize that clarity comes through motion, not thinking. Again, it's the same thing with stop planning, start executing, right? The path will grow more clear as you begin to walk it, right? Because right now you're standing still. You just see darkness around you. But as you start to move, things are going to start lighting up, because action gives you data. Data gives you things to process, gives you things to think about, and it allows you to direct your course to where you're trying to go. But without moving, you have no data. All you're doing is pulling around random concepts and thoughts in your head. So just take action, right? Because action is going to kill your overthinking, and as you get consistent, you're going to get confident, and once you're confident, your actions are going to improve as well, because now you're not second guessing yourself. You don't care if you lose or not. You understand, well, I'm just going to take this action, now I'm going to grow from it, right? And again, this intentional action is going to bring you very far. Then there's 6 months of saying no. What do I mean when I say that? Well, no to distractions. Anything that derails your energy, anything that drains you, anything that pulls you away from your goals, anything that does not yield you bringing a step closer to your goals, then say no. Just don't do it. Why are you doing that, right? You have a goal. Why are you constantly taking actions that are not in line with that goal? Say no to comfort that kills your momentum. Stop lazing around. Stop, wasting time eating chips on your couch as you're watching TV, right? Just say no and get the work done, right? To people, places, habits that are pulling you backwards, right? waking up late, going to sleep late, wasting time scrolling, like all these things, all this junk food, right? All this noise around you, these bad habits that are pulling you away from your goals. Say no, right? You need to protect your time like your life depends on it, because it does. Your life does depend on the time that you spend right now. The time that you spend is going to determine if you are able to step into the reality that you desire and to becoming the person that you want to be, or go in the opposite of that direction. Somebody who never accomplished anything, somebody who didn't amount to anything, somebody who just lives in their parents' basement, they're lazing around, all they do is watch anime, nothing going for them, right? Understand that the time you spend right now is going to determine where you end up in life. So your life does depend on it. And realize that minimalism is mental clarity. What is minimalism? It's a lack. It's a lack of noise. It's a lack of distraction, right? It's only the essential when you are minimalist, right? Especially with your mind, only doing the things that matter, only doing the things that move you forward, right? There's not as much to think about. There's not as much to decide about, because if you're trying to choose, don't want to scroll, don't want to watch Netflix, don't want to watch YouTube, don't want to go play some games, don't want to do some focus work, right? There's too many options going on around there, and your brain is like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do. But if the only option is focus work, if the only option is exercise, if the only option is reading, well, then what is there to think about? You just next only to what aligns with your vision. If it does not align with your vision, if it does not align with the person that you want to become, then say no. And last, there's 6 months of systems over motivation, right? Because again, right, we can read all these concepts, everything I just explained, it's cool and all, but if you don't have a system to keep that in place, if you don't have a system in place to do it day in and day out, well, then you just aren't going to get anywhere. So build workflows so that your execution is automatic, right? So, you want to make things frictionless. You want to have a step-by-step process to get that focus work done. Step-by-step when it comes to exercise, when it comes to reading, when it comes to everything. If there's a system in place, you're not going to have to think about it. It's not going to depend on whether or not I feel like doing it. You're just going to do it because the system has already been set up. So there's templates, routines, automations, things like that, right? Just streamlining everything so that you can just sit down, get what you need to get done, and move on with your day. And calendars over willpower, right? If you're not using a calendar, if you're not using Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, whatever the case is, right? Well, you're just not going to get things done. Calendars kind of set things in stone, because I can say, okay, I'm going to go outside and take a walk at 3 o'clock, right? But if I don't put that in my calendar, it's just floating around in my head until I make it solid, until I make it real. Then the chance of me actually doing it when that time comes, it's going to be slim to none, right? But once you write it down, once you mark it in the calendar, maybe your notes app, whatever works better for you, you're going to be a lot more likely to do it. And even, when you're tired, right, the system is still working, right? When I'm asleep, the system is still there. When I'm awake, the system is there. When I'm tired, the system is there. When I'm energized, the system is there. When I don't feel like doing anything, the system is there, right? The system remains no matter what the external circumstance is, no matter what my internal circumstance is. The system is simply going to be there. So as long as I use the system, I'm going to be able to do what I need to do, right? Systems are scalable, right? You can scale them, you can improve them, you can iterate on them, they can grow, but your motivation, it's not, right? Your motivation comes and goes, systems remain. And your future self needs infrastructure, not hype, right? If you want to end up like Among Us, you're cool for like a year, then, everybody forgets about you, then I don't know why you're watching this video. You should have clicked up a while ago. But if you want to grow, if you actually want to become the person that you desire to be in life, well, you need infrastructure, not type. And understand that all the things I just spoke about, it wasn't just me talking it in my head, but it's stuff I've lived, stuff I've experienced, stuff I was able to practice and iterate upon myself. Because 6 months ago, I wasn't consistent at all. I was very inconsistent. Lots of video games, anime, Netflix, YouTube, rabbit holes, right? I'd be up on the game till like 8 in the morning playing Roblox, right? It got really serious. It got bad. And all that stuff was cool and all, but where exactly was it taking me in life? Where was my end result going to be? I thought about it, and I didn't like where I was going. So I had to change, right? I used to scroll, skip workouts, delay, procrastination. But once I installed frictionless systems, once I created systems to make my focus frictionless, make my discipline frictionless, I actually started to compound, right? I was able to build my brand. I was able to hit my goals. My physique improved. I started making money online. I felt more in control than I ever had before. And if I can do it, you can too, right? And understand, I'm not just like talking it in my head right now. This is my physique, my brand is growing. I got I think 67,000 on Instagram. My YouTube's up 2.7, right? This is, various money that I've made over the years, right? Ultimately, all of these things I was able to accomplish because I was able to dial in my focus, because I was able to lock in and do what I needed to do, actually get focused, right? 6 months, a lot changed for me. And so you've got the roadmap, right? Everything we just went over in this video, it's a roadmap. You know what you need to do. Now you just need the system plus community in order to make it a reality, right? Because systems are cool, but if you don't have a community to keep you in place, to keep you using that system, then it's not going to be as effective, which is again why I made the Frictionless Focus OS. First link in the description. It's a flagship course that I created, walking through the exact method that I use to actually dial in my focus, dial in my systems, make everything frictionless. If you're interested, first link in the description. Now, understand that 6 months from now, right? 6 months will pass, whether you lock in or whether you don't, right? But I want you to imagine the clarity, the progress, the momentum that you could have. So no, don't chase 100 different hacks. Simply master the 5 I showed you in this video. And understand, for those interested, Focus OS, first link in the description. It is your blueprint. It is the exact step-by-step process that you can take to change everything for you in the next 6 months. And it all starts with one single decision. Will you commit or will you not? I'll let you decide. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.